What's up, guys? Ivan here with getivan.com, and in this video we're going to be talking about how my recent Newegg computer purchase died, and I was able to replace it very quickly with a PowerSpec computer from Microcenter. So my last video on finding a new primary PC or workstation, I went through the process of going on Newegg.com, and using their system to build your own custom PC. And I spent like a whole day looking at different marketplaces, trying to figure out if I wanted to build it, if I wanted to buy it, pre-built or pay for someone to build it, looking at different services. And in my last video, I talked about using Newegg to build and do the custom builder and purchase my PC. And then also kind of looking at Amazon and deciding maybe buying a computer retail is the future of it all. So, interestingly enough, here's the story. I get my computer, I have it for about 10 days, and on the 10th day or so, I go to unplug my HDMI splitter, which is this one right here. Should be right here. This one. I go to unplug this splitter from my video card, and the screen goes black and it starts rebooting itself. And it does this kind of a bit repeatedly on the BIOS screen that shows like the video card, logo or whatever. It shows random artifacts that kind of look like, Matrix-ish. And so this goes on for a bit, maybe 20 some odd reboots. I even tried to do the prompt to format, and it just nothing was being allowed to continue. I sometimes could break through to the desktop and it would sit there for 5 seconds and then it would just crash again. So I contacted Newegg's ENIAC PC building company, partner company, or whatever, whoever they are. They said that if I'm seeing random artifacts like this, based on how I described it, then there's nothing that could be done. It needed to be returned. So they gave me a label to return it. And I used their UPS ground label to do so. Interesting tidbit here. I haven't got my refund yet. I'm a little bit paranoid about it. I was talking to the UPS store and I said, is there any way I could get insurance on this return? And they said no, because the company printed a label for you, so they can have insurance on it, but you don't have any insurance on it. If something happens, they'll have to contact us. They said they'll have to contact the UPS store to make a claim. So, and it's interesting because there's a lot of language which talks about, if anything happens to your computer in transit, like you're not going to be eligible for a refund. So I'm a little bit paranoid that there might be somewhat of a scam going on there. I'm not sure yet. I'm hoping to get that refund because that was a lot of money. It was like $1,900. So we'll see. I had to get a new computer though, so I went ahead and got another one. But the reason I use this HDMI splitter is because I used to run dual monitors. This is an 10-year-old computer, and so I used to have one VGA monitor and one HDMI monitor, but the VGA monitor went, bad at one point. So then I was just on my singular HDMI monitor, and I wanted to be able to alternate between my TV, my computer on my TV, so I can just lay back in bed on my computer sometimes, and also, my desk here. And so that's why I use a splitter. And that's what happened. As soon as I unplugged that splitter to just plug in my monitor, because now I had a new computer that could support, 2 HDMI, that's when the problem happened. So I don't know. It could have been the graphics card. And this is like a new experimental graphics card from Asus using the GeForce RTX 3060 core, card. And the difference in their variation is that they have, like, you see that heatsink back there, and then they have a single fan. And you see there's actually a lot more fans than your typical computer, a lot more blades in the fan than your typical computer fan. And supposedly this technology that they've invented with it, what they call axial tech fans, is supposed to improve airflow and dispersion. So, I mean, I didn't get any indication that anything overheated, but it could, I mean, that could have something to do with it. I mean, from the beginning, when I got the computer, it was showing random artifacts on the in the BIOS load up screen. So something was wrong when it arrived. Now, it could have something to do with the experimental card. This is like a known card type, but it could have something to do with the cooling system. I don't no idea. I got this for like $500. It was literally the last one in stock on Newegg, and at the time, and so it could have something to do with that. If I'm unplugging something and all of a sudden everything goes terrible, then I feel like this could be it. Then again, for me to not be able to get through to the desktop, because I could actually sometimes I could sit at the screen for, hey, Windows recovery, something's wrong with your computer. The problem is that none of the prompts there would work. So it could have been a motherboard issue. I don't remember what the motherboard was, but that could have been the issue. Anyways, so I sent that back. Hopefully I'll get that refund. And in the meantime, I had to figure out, where am I going to get another computer? So at the end of my last video, I discussed maybe the HP Omen 30L from Amazon would be the way to go. Am I logged in Amazon? No, I'm not. That's why it doesn't show the Prime delivery option. But this is something I was looking at. Now, a new friend of mine is a subscriber here on my YouTube channel. They messaged me and mentioned that I should be careful if I'm going to buy something from Amazon. Look at the vendor, because some of those vendors, they could be scamming. So that's a really good point. I didn't spend that much time looking at the options on them. Well, I spent some time looking at the options. I didn't spend much time looking at it in such a way to look at the vendor, and this guy, JTech Digital, is the one I was looking at. It turns out that he's actually got a lot of good reviews and a good rating, so he's probably okay. And this is the machine I was looking at. Now, the thing you have to be careful about, and this is something that I think anybody who's dealing with computer hardware is going to learn at some point or another, is the devil is in the details, as they say. Kind of tacky saying, I guess, but you definitely want to look at the details really carefully, because this is not the same processor. This is the G model, which is a little bit different. It's actually priced pretty similarly to the X model. What you want is the X model. And then, excuse me, you also don't really know like what kind of SSD drive is this, because 1 terabyte SSD, they're not all created equally. Now, in the previous video, I was saying, you kind of got to look and see what do you really need. You could be paying an extra $50 or $100 for more upload download speed that you don't really need. So where's the threshold? I think it's at about 3 gigabytes up and down. So you got to be careful though, because some of these SSDs that are out there, being kit with machines like this, they have even less than that, which is not a huge deal, but it's also, I mean, they're making their money by cutting corners in various areas, and they're just not telling you about it. They're giving you something at face value, like, hey, you're going to get a terabyte SSD, but you're not knowing. Sorry, you're not able to know unless they give you the specs. What are the details of that piece of hardware, and so it's really pretty deceptive and kind of ridiculous. Really, it's very dishonest. I think a lot of these manufacturers and retailers are making money off of just sheer dishonesty, unfortunately. But I think if you're going to buy a primary PC like this, spend a lot of money, there's really no way around it. You have to know the details of the core hardware. They've got some details here, and for the most part, this seems to be okay. If it was me, I would get another 16 gigs of RAM and stick it in there. But I also like to look at the motherboard and see, how many slots are there, because I saw some pictures of this that some people were putting on eBay and it only had 2 slots for RAM. So, and understanding the differences in motherboards is kind of difficult. It takes some time to learn about it. So that's where the money is being made. Details that they're not giving you. They're giving you general specs, but they're not telling you the details of those specs. So you're not really understanding, like, hey, it says 16 gigs of memory, but what's the speed on that RAM? It says DDR4, but is it 2400 or is it 3200 or is it 3600? You don't want to buy 2400. You want to get at least 3200. So that really needs to be listed. I wouldn't buy this machine until I knew that RAM was 3200 or higher. You know what I'm saying? And so this is the difficulty with buying something complete retail in this manner. The benefit of Newegg is that you get all the details of the parts. Of course, the difficulty is, to spend an entire day assembling that thing really carefully, which is something I've been trying to avoid. And even that having them assemble it did not work out. Apparently there's issues with parts or maybe issues in transit. Who knows? So this is a viable option, but there are certain risks. You really got to look at those details. So let's talk about this processor. I did some more research on processors. There's a great article from Tom's Hardware here. They show benchmarks on a lot of processors, and you can see on single threaded performance ranking, this Ryzen 5 5600X ranks really high. So when you look at these various prices, the Ryzen 5 and the i5 still rank very highly amongst a lot of other newer, more expensive processors. And so if you look at the sum all average, it's the Ryzen 5 5600X. And excuse me, if you look at the TWP, I don't remember what that stands for, but it's got something to do with power consumption. That's the lowest I've seen so far. So it's very low power consumption, doesn't get hot very easily, comes with its own fan and heatsink, like the one I was showing you guys before. So this machine that I got from Microcenter is almost the same as what I got from Newegg. Excuse me. The difference is that it was actually cheaper. I guess that's a Labor Day sale, possibly. Excuse me. And I was able to go to Microcenter, pick it up in person, and they have a 48-hour repair guarantee. So if anything goes wrong, I can take it to them down at Microcenter and they'll repair it. The unfortunate thing is that Microcenter is like an hour away from where I live, so I only need to go there if I really need some hardware. And I went there knowing exactly what I needed to get in terms of the computer, but in terms of the monitor and I wanted to get another monitor, so I have dual monitors again. I haven't had that in years. And also in terms of the peripherals, like the mouse and the keyboard. Got this keyboard also, Steel Series Apex 5. I wasn't prepared for this stuff, so I just took recommendations. The keyboard worked out. The mouse has not worked out and the mouse is nice. It's just that it's super lightweight. It's not as sturdy. It's not made of as sturdy materials as the keyboard. The keyboard's a beast. It has a monstrous clickety clack. Listen to this. The beauty of these mechanical keyboards, supposed to be higher, performance in terms of they'll be able to last longer, take more punishment. There's just such a crisp reciprocation when you hit those keys. So that was worth it. The monitor, I got it here, I think I have a tab open to show you. I got this box, but I should have a tab. Now, when I looked at it, I actually saw this online when I got home because the guy told me it was going to be $250, and I guess I came a day too late because this is it right here, and it ended up being $300. So it's kind of dumb expensive, but IPS, 165 hertz. So the resolution is much higher, 6500 by 1400. So it's a one level up from 1080p, I guess. And you can just grab it and raise it and lower it really easily. So this is an HP monitor, and I'm a big fan of HP products. All the servers I buy are HP. Anyway, so I ended up spending a lot more, but I guess the benefit is I was able to go to the store, handle the products and some of the products, and get some recommendations that I think were good. And I spent more, but I actually got more per dollar. So because I spent less on the computer as a whole. I looked up this card software. It's pretty incredible, by the way. This Radeon card, but the price is pretty comparable to the other RT Asus, the GeForce RTX 3060. So I'm guessing that it's a similar card. It's got a similar amount of RAM, and I didn't look at any of the other specs. I just kind of said, okay, I'm sure it's fine. It's about the same price, so I'm sure it'll be fine. I don't need anything crazy. It's got 3200 RAM, and the SSD drive, it was Western Digital, which I looked up, and I only knew that because I opened up the computer, because you see in the back here it doesn't have an exhaust fan. So I actually bought an exhaust fan, installed an exhaust fan, and when I saw the drive, it was Western Digital, and that turns out to be lower upload download rate than like a Samsung variation of a similar price, I believe. So they're making their money in those little areas where let's give you something a little bit worse, and let's give you this little Western Digital thing and tell you that it's a terabyte, and let's give you this graphics card with 12 gigs of RAM, and we won't tell you that it's only a $500 card, but we're gonna charge an extra $100 so you don't notice. Probably did something like that. So that's kind of where they're making their money. I mean, mixed feelings about it, you know. But if you're going to get something pre-kit retail, this is the best I could find with, where I could go there, get it that day, and also have, a repair guarantee kind of thing, simple repair options. I don't have to mail anything. Also, behind this cover, there are two fans for the intake, and there's an exhaust sort of mesh here on the sides, on both sides of this here, this narrow area. So it does have the same intake and exhaust potential there, intake fans, and then I put my own exhaust fan up there. Graphics card is huge, by the way. It goes like from here all the way to the front. But anyways, so that's been a good experience. Now, I will say that I did do some other research. I looked at eBay again, and most of the options are kind of like this. It takes a while to find gaming computers, but there are some custom builders on eBay. I messaged a couple that does custom building on eBay, but my problem there is this guy that I was talking to, he was asking me one question at a time, and he wouldn't give me a quote. I mean, after like 10 or 15 messages or something, like it's like 10, or maybe like 10 messages, he just wouldn't give me a quote. I got really irritated with him, like he just kept asking me one question at a time, and I just ended up having to tell him that, I'm going to go elsewhere because this is a waste of time. Like, I waited like a whole day to get like a quote from this guy, and he just wouldn't give me a quote. So that's an issue. Working with people like this, they don't want to give a quote, probably because they feel like they're going to get rejected. Like, they don't understand how to give a range. Just give a range. Say, hey, we can do this for you with these specs for $700. We can do this for you for $1,000. We can do this for you for $1,500. Really not that difficult. But I don't think that's really the power of eBay. There are some custom builders, so you could get something custom made for you through some of these vendors out here. But I think that the secret is in mostly put together. If you're going to go with eBay, I think eBay has the potential to be the very best option with just a tiny bit of kitting. So you go with Newegg, you're going to have to kit everything together. It's going to be a huge hassle. Like, you're going to be able to know what you're getting and get some good savings on parts, but it's a huge hassle. You go with Amazon, there's some risk in the details and in the vendors that you're using. And you go with, I think if you go with eBay, you can use an option like low pi if you go to this site lowpi.com and you put in Omen 30L, then you can see a lot of, it's like a search engine for shopping websites. So it's got like eBay, Amazon, even Newegg on here, and you can see this guy is selling a particular machine for $650 that's very similar to the one that I was looking at, 5600X, 16 gigs, 1 terabyte SSD, but these don't come with a GPU, so no graphics card. But if you do the math, you spend $500 on a graphics card, you're spending less money on this machine than you would from a retailer. So the catch is you're taking a risk because you really don't know what all has been messed with in there. And this would be something where you'd have to become an expert and really figure out what kind of RAM is in there, what's the SSD drive, what exactly is the brand, so I can know the upload download rate. Does it already come with, it appears to have Windows 10 pre-installed. So I think this really is probably I didn't go with this route because to me it seemed like I don't want to take the risk of having to kit anything right now. But, the more that I think about it, you look at this kind of option, this laptop Newyork.com vendor, they have a lot of good ratings. This could be the answer to getting a really powerful computer for cheaper. Because if you spend $500 on a graphics card, then you're looking at $1,150, and then you can spend another, $70 or whatever on 16 more gigs of RAM to get to 32. So then you're looking at somewhere close to $1,250. So you could actually save. I mean, compared to this right here, you're saving like $250. So low pi might be the secret to getting computers for cheaper, like even like with the servers that I like to get. Like let's look at HP 800 G1. Those are the servers I like to get. So there's a 600 G1. Oh yeah, Elite Desk. Elite. I gotta call it Elite. Elite Desk. G1 Tower. Wow, they're really showing you like the cheap of the cheap. There you go. i5 4th generation. Low RAM though. We would want to find a vendor that could let you choose a higher RAM. I see no reviews on that guy. But you get the idea. I think this kind of thing might be key in the future. So, but again, I passed it up. eBay had some opportunity, but I passed that up because there's some risk. I passed up Amazon because I felt like there was some risk, and I also didn't want to spend this much at the time, but I ended up spending that much anyways. So, I also looked at Best Buy, but Best Buy had one when I went visit. Well, I looked at the website on BestBuy.com. And let's see. Let's look at PC gaming. Let's look at desktops. Wow, what the heck? I said no, and it still picked up my location. That is not cool. That's not exactly like my location, but that is invasive. Anyways, there are some viable options here. Some of them just seems like so random. Here's an i5 with 8 gigs. That's a pretty low price. Nice looking desktop there. One I saw at the store was like this. It looked like this, except it wasn't. It was like $1,900 instead of this expensive. Excuse me. But you see, there's only like, it's almost like, is this real life? Because, oh, you know what? It's showing me Lake Worth, I guess, because there's only 6 options here. Okay, this is not. Wow, it's just not going to let me change. I can't believe they just forcibly picked your location. That's really stupid. Um, anyways, there's a section that they have for the Omen where you can actually pick up. It's almost like an Omen builder. Oh, here we go. Maybe this is it right here. No, or this might be it. Let's see. Really get an i5, be a lot cheaper. Oh, it won't let you get more RAM. Anyways, I looked at Best Buy, but it's just crummy. It's amazing. This is like the number one, you know, electronics store in America, and their utilities for computers are terrible. Like you see, they forcibly chose a location. This is in the same city that I live, but this is way far away from this opposite direction. And then you look at like computers, and there's only 6 to choose from. It's just terrible. So I mean, Best Buy just not going to work. Most of the stuff that they have are just little crummy computers. You know, really most of at the location, most of what they sell at the location is keyboards and mice. Like there's like a whole walls dedicated to keyboards and mice, and barely any for desktops. And then they have a whole section for cell phones and a whole section for Mac. But they don't really sell computers. Like, well, they sell some computers, but they don't really sell quality computers. So it's kind of lame. Let's see. I didn't even see this option, so they kind of hid that. But let's see what the hardware is. Ryzen 7 3600X GeForce. So this is a weaker graphics card, crummy hard drive. You can get a better processor. Well, a newer processor or a higher model processor with a weaker graphics card for less money. So the graphics card is costing a bit, but anywho. So I looked at Best Buy. I was hoping I could maybe go there. Maybe there'd be something decent there, but it was a bust. There was only one computer, only one higher level computer there. And then so I looked at Amazon, looked at Best Buy, looked at eBay, and I inevitably decided to go with the PowerSpec retail variation of the computer. It's supposedly on sale for Labor Day. I'm not really sure if that's true. And it had essentially the same hardware as the variation from Newegg. So with more support, I guess, local support, like if there's anything that goes wrong, and I was able to get it more quickly and get like, handle the peripherals, you know what I'm saying, actually see the monitor. So I mean, I buy things online all the time, but it's too bad, Fry's went out of business. There's only one Best Buy near here, really. And then there's only one Microcenter. So like retail is dying to online, but it's a shame because this is clearly an area where your online experience is kind of funneling you to get scammed. I do this. I handle computers I make money with computers, and it's still like there's a lot of areas where they try to trick you. You have to know the intimate details of everything that you're doing, or else you're going to get tricked. You're going to just be giving money away. And at some point, I kind of just, like, I could have saved $150 by just signing up for the credit card at this store, but I just didn't want to. So I just threw that away. I could have saved by getting a lesser monitor than this one right here. Probably could have saved $100, at least $50. I certainly could have saved $100 on different mice and keyboard. So, I gave him a couple $100 or something, but at the end of the day, I got nice quality products and probably going to last me 10 years. So it was a better experience. Now in the future, I might use Lo-Pi. I might try to, get something that looks pretty sweet. And then, sorry, I sounded a bit kiddo there. I get something that looks pretty sweet, and then kind of see how it goes from there. Now I get something that uh, could be higher performing, and then just assemble a couple pieces of grab a graphics card, grab a stick of RAM, and there you go. You have something where you saved $250 or maybe even a few $100, and I think that's the future. Lo-Pi and eBay. But there's risk, and you gotta like really know your hardware. And so I guess if you really just don't want to do that, Microcenter. Microcenter. I mean, I guess you could also get something at Best Buy. Like you also though, you still have to really be really critical of what you're getting. That's a crummier graphics card for sure, but it's also not that expensive. Probably plenty of people. CyberPower. Oh, that's that company that makes those backup batteries. I think I have the CyberPower batteries. Yeah, my backup battery is CyberPower. You're for sure getting scammed somewhere in there. You definitely don't want to spend any money on an HDD. I don't even know why they kit these. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's the second time I had to go through the process, and I think this time around I got more for my money, and I minimized my risk. So I'll probably be using retail in the future. I don't know, something to consider for the eBay route. But that's pretty much it. Appreciate you watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I haven't been around because I haven't had a proper computer, so I'll be doing more videos from here on out. Thanks for watching. Catch you soon. Bye-bye. Is that hotkey?